let's give it a little bit more time. How many participants do we have here already now? Let's give people a little bit more time. We are running late, I think. We are 15 minutes beyond schedule, so I think that we have to reduce this panel now to probably 45 minutes. And Eric was not crystal clear to me on this. I don't know if there is someone from UN ESCAP in the room. If you could tell us what the rules of the game are. Okay, I think it seems we have now many participants. Are you with us? UN ESCAP, is there someone in the room?
No, I'm Natika. I just support to share the presentation.
Okay, so you are here, Natika. This is with you exchange email over the weekend, I think. Yeah, okay,
sure.
Great. So can you confirm we probably have until 1:15, and then we have to join the other group, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so we have let's say 45 minutes. So I think that without further ado, I was meant to give a short introduction, but we heard a lot from Mahendra Singhi, then Dinah, and I would really like to leave more time to our three speakers to present. So what we have chosen on this panel is to present 3 of the technologies that are already there, and maybe as Dinah said, that we can't really, they are still unevenly distributed. That might be the introduction, and I have really tried here to focus on CCU because that's the focus of UN ESCAP. So it's not about capture technologies, it's really how can we use the CO2 in the cement and the concrete value chain. I think, and that's my only point I want to make, I think this is something unique that the concrete value chain has, is that when the CO2 is used in the cement and concrete value chain, it is permanently stored, which is different to other use of CO2, like if renewable energy is produced from the CO2, then the CO2 is emitted at a certain point. But here, our product, our fantastic product, concrete, can actually offer a permanent storage solution for CO2. And this is really what I would like to emphasize and discuss. So we have 3 speakers. We have Sin Monkman from Carbon Cure. We have Veit Ataken from Solidia Technology. And then we have Chris or Akifumi Takigawa, and Chris is from Mitsubishi Corporation, but is going to present us the work of SWECOM, a consortium actually also on CO2 use in the value chain. So I will ask all 3 panelists, you have 5-6 minutes to present, to try to make a good pitch. And then on the panel, I also have 2 colleagues I know really well, Sui Tongbo of CNBM Sinoma. Hi, Tongbo. And then Ashwani Paucha from Dalmia Cement. And I really think if you want to present, I think, Tongbo, you have not really prepared a presentation. Ashwani, I'm not sure you have slides, but I would suggest you both have kind of statements or share your views on this use in our value chain, and then we see how much time is left for discussion. So Sin, the floor is yours, and I think you have a few slides to present.
Okay.
So you should be able to share your screen. There is a in the right corner kind of arrow. You can share your screen.
Can you let Vahid go first, because I have a permissions problem. I have to reboot. So.
Okay, good. Reboot. So Vahid, are you ready to jump in?
Sure. Do you have my slides, or do I need to share them?
I I have not downloaded your slides, but maybe the colleague from, I think it's easier if you share your own slides.
Sure.
You can. That was the plan.
Okay. Just give me a minute.
You have that, I can help you.
Can you share them to help? Okay, there they are.
Oh, so they are sharing?
Yeah, they are sharing. They are doing it for you. Yeah. I see the slides at least.
I think it's mine. So, well, anyways, so let's start. This is Vahit Atakan. I'm the co-founder of Solidia Technologies, and we started this journey in 2007. And when we first started, people were wondering why we are tackling this problem. But nowadays, the impression has changed, and there is a lot of traction in using CO2 in cement and concrete. So we can go to the next slide. Probably I am sharing. So, okay.
Yeah, you are sharing, right? Yeah.
Okay, all right. So in this one, the challenge is, I like to define the challenge a little bit. The cement industry, it's like about 3 gigatons of OPC clinker per year. And then it emits about 2.5 tons of CO2, which is a significant number. And as a basis, I'm taking the OPC clinker production in a modern kiln. So we are talking about 0.8 tons of CO2 emitted per ton of OPC clinker produced. The reason why we are using clinker instead of cement is depending on the countries, different countries have different regulations and they use different levels of clinker factor. So to make the calculation simple, we use this number as a reference. So on the next slide, I like to talk about how we are approaching both the precast and the ready-mix sectors in the concrete. So when we started this journey in 2007, we were planning to use a natural mineral called wollastonite because it was easy to carbonate and it was bonding well upon carbonation. But what we quickly realized was there wasn't enough wollastonite in the world. So then we had to make a decision, and the solution we find was if we don't have enough wollastonite, let's make our own wollastonite. So this is how Solidia Cement was born. Solidia Cement, it's a simple low-lime cement chemistry. When you produce it at the cement kiln, you are talking about at least 30% CO2 reduction. The breakdown of this, the reduction, you can see it in the table. So compared to OPC, we are using less limestone because we are low lime cement. So we are getting, instead of 545 tons of CO2, we are emitting 0.375 tons of CO2. And then our melting point is lower compared to OPC. And this also gives us some advantage in the field usage. So there is, again, as a coincidence, we have another 30% reduction in the thermal CO2. And when you sum them up, like I said, 0.8 tons per clinker for OPC. And for Solidia clinker, we are talking about 565 tons. So as of today, we made 4 productions, 3 of them in Whitehall, Pennsylvania, and 1 in Pest, Hungary. And we confirmed our CO2 reductions during these industrial productions. And the cement making process, it's right now quite simple, straightforward, and can be applicable to most of the cement plants in the world.
Vahit, as you are changing slide, could you please put yourself in slideshow mode? Then we will see your slide coming out bigger.
Okay.
That should come through now.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes, yes, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, okay. All right. So, and then now, once we make our cement, we wanted to make use the cement in precast concrete. So, in the micrograph that you see, the original cement particle, we have it, and then around that, upon carbonation, we are forming two products. One is the calcium carbonate, and the other one is the amorphous silica. And these two are really the bonding agents. And for 1 ton of Solidia cement, if you use 1 ton of Solidia cement, you have an opportunity to sequester about 200 to 240 kgs per ton of cement you are using. So when you include everything in the table, we are talking about, for example, when you make a concrete with OPC, your net emissions will be probably 0.8 tons per ton of clinker you are using. In the case of Solidia cement, this number reduces down to 0.375 tons. So this really corresponds to like 0.4 to 4 tons of CO2 per ton of cement used. And for the precast concrete, right now the Solidia products are sold and then in paver and blocks. There is a reason why we started with pavers and blocks, because it's easier to adopt and the code requirements are manageable. And we have demonstrated the cost and the performance advantages. So as an overall impact, if we were to replace all precast production with Solidia cement and concrete, the total savings we are talking about is about 0.5 gigatons of CO2, which is a decent number when we are talking about the CO2 savings. But then the precast market is about 30%. And then there is a huge market, which is about 70% on the ready-mix or cast-in-place applications. So how do we tackle this problem? Because with the precast, we need to carbonate it. And in order to carbonate it, we need a chamber to put our concrete and process it. But in the field, this is not really practical, so we had to find a solution for this. And our solution for this is carbonating Solidia cement in the powder form and using it as a supplementary cementitious material. So when you look at Solidia cement, it's really composed of three major phases: the crystalline calcium silicates, crystalline malolite group, and also amorphous calcium aluminosilicates. In the micrograph, the colorful picture, you are seeing the reaction after the carbonation. So what happens is the pink particles are the calcium carbonate and the blue particles are the amorphous silica. So why we love amorphous silica? Because once you mix it with OPC, the amorphous silica is going to react with the calcium hydroxide that is generated during OPC hydration, and we are going to form CSH gel. In addition to this, there is the secondary reaction taking place. The calcium carbonate will react with the calcium aluminate phases, and it's going to form some monocarbonate phases. And we wanted to see if there was an opportunity in the SCM market, and 2/3 of the SCM market, it's composed of blast furnace slag and fly ash. And SCMs currently make up 25% of the total cement sold globally. We know the demand is increasing, but the supply is decreasing. And the reason for the supply decrease is most of the coal-fired power plants, they're being shut down or scheduled to shut down. And as a result, the fly ash supply becomes a problem. And then the overall market is we are talking about $80 billion of market. So this is we see a great opportunity in this area. And in this slide,
can you please try to conclude?
How much CO2 can we save if we were to use Solidia SCM in OPC? So at different levels, replacement levels, For example, if I have a mixture of blend of 20% Solidia SCM, then we are talking about 13-14% CO2 reductions. If we go to 35% replacement, which is this is our typical blending capacity, so we are talking about 24% CO2 reductions. And we can, in some applications, we can go as high as 50% replacement. And in this case, we are talking about 30-35% CO2 reduction. When we produce 1 ton of Solidia cement, we are going to emit about 262 kgs of CO2. And what we are doing is we are turning 200 or 240 kgs of waste CO2 gas into a valuable solid product. So if I have 1 ton of clinker at the end of this carbonation, I'm going to have 1.2 to 1.25 tons of product. This also increases the throughput at the cement plant, and that increases about, compared to OPC clinker, the increase is about 35%. So at a given time, you can produce 35% more material with this approach. And with our conversations with the cement plants, what we find out is the most appealing portion of this technology is this will be the product itself. This is not a byproduct. So this kind of guarantees the consistency of the quality and also a consistent supply chain. So this is very valuable for both the cement and the ready-mix manufacturers.
Okay, Vahid, can I really ask you a last word,
I'd like
please?
to show the impact of the ready-mix approach. We are about like 70% of the concrete market. So if we are at 35% OPC replacement level, we are talking about another 0.4 gigatons of CO2. So if we make Solidia Cement technology available, then the total global impact would be around 0.8 gigatons. And for the Solidia SCM, we are testing our material at third-party testing labs and in academia as well. And then the things that we are looking at is really the strength activity index, how the strength develops, what happens to the water demand when we add this material, and how well we mitigate the ASR. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, or maybe we take it during the roundtable discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Vahid. Could you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me speaking?
Okay. I cannot hear you.
Okay, great. I was asking to conclude. So without further ado, I think we will take the question during the roundtable because we're really running behind time.
Sure.
So I think that we can now move to Sin. You're ready to go? And just really please try to stick to 6 minutes so that we have time for question and answers. And presentation mode, yes, excellent.
Sean, you're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute, Sean. We can't hear you. I can actually not see you either. Sean, you are still on mute. So Chris, maybe you could be ready to jump in if this doesn't get solved soon. Sean, are you there?
Maybe I can just jump in. Will that be okay?
Yeah, you could jump in, Chris. Do you have the option to request control of the screen?
Do you see my screen right now?
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. So maybe I can just go first. So first of all, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Chris, or Akifumi from Mitsubishi Corporation. I'll try to make it quick for answering questions. So just before I go into detail, so once again, we're Mitsubishi Corporation. We're often mistaken with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Mitsubishi Motors, so on, but we're an independent company. We're a trading and investment company operating more than 90 countries, and we also invest and trade in almost every industry within our 10 business groups. So just to add on to that, this is our structure of the company. As you can see, there's 10 business groups covering every industry. Obviously, we're very interested in CCU. We do investments and business development in this area, and we think we are very unique in this industry because we have all the network from all the sources of the CO2 all the way to all the applications of the products that are actually created from the CO2, such as concrete or even the textile application we're discussing today. So I'll skip this part, but I just wanted to express that Japan is also extremely interested in these technologies. We now have a roadmap. There's a government dedicated department of CCU. We call it carbon recycle in Japan. We're also seen as one of the leading companies in Japan in this area and receiving a lot of support, including government grants. So what we actually do, again, we want to express that we cover basically all the value chain of the CCU business. So I think we're not just dedicated to an emission or a specific utilization technology, but we can cover the whole value chain. However, in terms of short-term solutions, we're working really hard on the mineralizations and the reformations technologies, and that's what we would like to share today. So before I go into the concrete discussion, we just wanted to share one technology to produce clothing materials from CO2. This is a government-supported project. We're on the R&D phase together with the largest steel mill, Nippon Steel, and several other Japanese companies. So basically what we're trying to do is to replace crude oil-based paraxylene, which is the raw material for polyester for clothing or PET bottles, with CO2 and green hydrogen. We're already the largest global paraxylene trader. So once we have the product ready, we'll be supplying the market with green products rather than crude oil-based products. And our key discussion today is about CO2 to concrete. So we are not focused on one technology. We believe that industry is extremely large, very diverse, and there's a lot of technologies that actually contribute to the decarbonization. So we've selected several technologies or companies and partnership with these companies. We call it the Green Concrete Consortium. By combining these technologies in the future, we would like to maximize the reduction of CO2. We obviously believe that one technology is not enough in order to achieve these Paris agreements or the net zero targets. So in order to achieve these targets, we would like to work on several projects. So I won't go too deep on CarbonCure. I know Sean is here today, but we've invested in the company last year, and we also are discussing business development mainly in Asia to support the company. Next technology is CO2 silica. So this is something maybe very new for the audience today. It's a Japanese technology developed by 4 Japanese companies, Kojima, Energia, Denka, and Landis. Kojima is one of the largest construction companies in Japan, and so on. So the features of the technologies, there's 2 features. This is a technology to produce a carbon negative concrete, precast concrete product. One is reducing the CO2 footprint by replacing cement with a special additive utilizing byproducts. And another technology is to cure CO2 utilizing a CO2 chamber. These are all commercial ready products. You can see all these products in these images that are actually used in Japan, including some architecture projects as well. Since this is the only applicable technology for precast and unreinforced concrete, we're also receiving Japanese government grant expanded technology for ready-mix and reinforced technology. And we hope we can develop, we can soon announce some progress in these areas. Another technology is O.C.O Technology, English company that produces aggregates from waste materials and CO2. This is also a commercial ready technology in the UK. We're supporting the company together to work on utilizing different type of waste materials such as steel slag to produce the same aggregates. And we're also supporting the business development outside of the UK. And the last technology is Blue Planet. I think this is a very famous company again, a US company to produce same aggregates, but from a different waste material, which is demolished or returned concrete. They're still in pilot phase, so we're providing finance to the feasibility projects and to market these projects in the future applications. So we're working on these 4 concrete projects, supporting their business development. We call this, again, the Green Concrete Consortium. And lastly, I would like to share, we're working very hard on carbon removal credits as well. So we're now one of the members of the Task Force on Scaling Voluntary Carbon Markets, a very large task force in order to enhance the use of carbon credits in the voluntary market, including removals. And we're also now discussing the development of what we call a carbon removal credit platform, where we connect the buyers who are willing to purchase the removal credits and the actual project owners who are willing to produce and sell these credits to make their project feasible. This is done together with the one of the largest carbon credit developers and brokers, South Pole. And yes, we've, for example, submitted the O.C.O Technology carbon credit to the Microsoft tender together with the company as well. So that was a quick overview of the company. I would like to ask a more to answer to all the questions today, and I'm willing to receive a lot of emails to discuss further opportunity together with everybody today. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris. I see that's really interesting. I see Vahid is back with us, so let's finger crossed. Vahid, presentation mode. So far, so good.
There's Sean.
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Oh, Sean, sorry. Yes, sorry,
Yes.
Sean. Go ahead, sorry.
So CarbonCare Technologies is a company that was founded in 2012. We're based in Canada coast. Technology I'll discuss are being used around the world, 300 concrete plants. Our CO2 technologies for the concrete industry has helped us to be recognized as the 2020 North American Company of the Year, and as of yesterday, announced that we won the Carbon X Prize for converting CO2 into useful products. And as Chris mentioned, he's one of our backers. It also includes Breakthrough Energy Ventures, Amazon, Microsoft, and a few more. Relevant to Asia, you can see one of our producer partners is Pan United down in the corner. Relevant to this discussion, I will highlight that in 2018 we provided the world's first demonstration of an integrated CO2 cement plant capture and use project. This was in an Argos cement plant in Alabama, and the use of the CO2 was in Atlanta. But how do we fit in? Our CO2 utilizations for the concrete industry, we take CO2 as a feedstock for concrete. We beneficially add it back into the concrete, which allows you to reduce the carbon footprint of the concrete without compromising on performance. And how that works is much like an admixture. So if you have a batch controller measuring an admixture for dispensing into the concrete mix, it's the same with the CO2. You have a CO2 supply, a CO2 dispensing system being added to the mix. And when you add CO2 to the concrete mix, you have the cement plus water. You have calcium ions. When the CO2 arrives in the water, you create a carbonate ion, and then you form calcium carbonate, an example here. This CO2 mineralization means that the carbon dioxide gas, which is a waste product, has now been converted permanently into solid limestone. And what this means is that you can actually add this nanomaterial to concrete, and it can improve the compressive strength. So in this case, a producer has 25 MPa concrete. They've reduced some cement and they've lost some strength performance, but by adding CO2, this cement reduced mix is now at an equivalent performance to the reference. So what this is doing is it's providing the concrete producer a way to recycle CO2 and save costs. Not only do you save some cement, obviously, but you can save the environmental impact of the cement. As mentioned, this is being used around 300 or more plants worldwide. We're based here in North America, way out on the East Coast, but you can see the technologies is spread around North America, and other agreements and installations are in place in various other markets. Thank you. That's my introduction to CarbonCure.
Thank you so much, Sean, and we made it. And really thank you to the three of you. It's just mind blowing now, those CCU technologies. Tongbo or Ashwani, what are your thoughts on those technologies, the one we have seen and maybe others you know about? We have a lot, have we? Yeah, there is Tongbo. Great to see this panel. You want to start? Tongbo, go.
Oh, thank you, Claude. It's really impressive, to have three, colleagues to present, the great effort they made and the progress they already and back practice, like in Solidia, because I know them very well. CarbonCure also actually the technology, origin from Canada. My good friend, professor in McGill, and also Mitsubishi colleague, working on a combination of gamma C2S. Me myself actually had been working on the Baylight for many years. I really, greatly, congratulate all the colleagues, for their great contribution. All this effort, of course, are the solutions, are potential solutions for future. My observation for cement sector in terms of CO2 reduction and the future and the neutrality or zero emission, net zero emission for cement industry. So we know that we will try our best, in the cement sector with our innovative solutions to continue improve the energy efficiency, to continue to increase the use of supplementary cementation material to replace the clinker, and also the use of enhanced use of alternative fuels. For China's case, we also have the unique feature of almost 100% utilization of the waste heat utilization, waste heat recovery system for the cogeneration. We also have the low carbon clinker behind us. But in terms of net zero emission of CO2 emission for cement sector, that's far not enough. We know that cement sector is kind of hard to abate sector. That we need actually more solutions, especially for CCU. It's generally agreed. So we need something around 50% of the contribution, coming from the CCU. So in terms of CCU, we have two challenges. First, we need to have the availability and also the economic viability of capturing the CO2 from the process. We also need another solution, the solution to address the challenge of how to use it. That's another very important solution. So today we have actually, so we are very happy to see our colleague present a very good solution. For Sonoma case, CMBM case, we are now working on the oxy-fuel solution, to oxy-fuel combustion solution to enrich the CO2 concentration in the flue gas from something around 20% to more than 70% in that case. So we try to reduce the capex and the opex, to make the capturing of CO2 from cement process more economic viable. That's one solution. We are also working on the mineralization sequestration of CO2, sequestrated as captured from the process, like the production of the precipitated calcium carbonate and precipitated barium carbonate, something like that. But though it's all these demonstration projects are in a not big scale, something only around 50,000 tons per year. But this is a high value added production and a very good step, and the first step, to use the CO2, to pace the way to carbon neutrality in the future. Thank you, Claude. Ashwani.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. Ashwani, it's your floor is yours. Go ahead. I see in the meantime, don't hesitate. If you have questions, I want to exchange to our participants. Use the chat box. I see some connections already being made, and that's really the purpose. Ashwani, the floor is yours.
Yes, Claude. I think for cement industry, one of the very important CCU S options can be mineralization, of course. While there are a number of CCU options, but after carbon capture and storage, a permanent storage, only mineralization offers virtually permanent storage of carbon dioxide, which is stored in cement. So various options which are now available to the cement and concrete industry, apart from the options which we have seen today, that is one is that trying to make Solidia type of cement where the cement gets CO2 gets absorbed into the cement matrix and permanently gets stored and gets converted into calcium carbonates. And second is converting into supplementary cementitious materials, and also trying to convert the free lime in the concrete through carbon cure process back to calcium carbonates, again a permanent storage option. And beyond that, work also is being done on creating storage options in aggregates, particularly on recycled aggregates where there are unreacted cements on the exposed aggregates. So that can also be converted back to calcium carbonates, and that can also offer a permanent storage option for carbon dioxide in concrete. So as it is very clear that concrete options can give up to 40 to 45% CO2 absorption through various options. Now beyond that, let me say that for construction industry, another important option can be converting carbon into carbon rods or carbon fibers or carbon nanotubes. Now these are very strong materials at the moment, of course very costly, but gradually as the technology scales up, if these technologies become more viable economically, they also have a potential to replace concrete in building materials. And it will have dual objectives. One is that these carbon fibers or carbon rods will be free from corrosion, which normally happens due to carbonation. So as a result of which, we can expect very high service lives from the concretes, which can be up to 10 folds higher than as compared with the conventional, iron or steel rebars. At the same time, the utilization option also is increased manifold. So these are the various options for the construction industry as far as storage options for carbon dioxide is concerned in cement and concrete. Beyond that, I would like to mention that, of course, in CCU, number of additional opportunities are appearing. One is that creation of plastics as well as the polycarbonates or polyols from synthetic fuels, which can be converted once we are able to absorb this carbon dioxide through hydrogen and carbon dioxide into synthetic fuels through methanol route. After that, we can be able to convert them into either synthetic fuels, both synthetic petrol and synthetic diesel, and also convert them into plastics and also various organic chemicals. So utilizing CO2 as a raw material has got tremendous possibilities in the organic industries where we are going to convert CO2 and hydrogen into hydrocarbons. Yeah, now, in addition to various inorganic and organic chemicals, like, for example, renewable urea is another very strong possibility, and also renewable sodium carbonates or sodium bicarbonates can be another possibility. ammonium carbonate also. So there are a number of pilots on which research is already going on, and it is believed that the amount of CO2 which can be generated through process emissions from cement industry and other chemical industries, there can be potential application for utilization of almost all the CO2 generated as a waste product, and it can be used as a raw material for all these chemical industries, be it organic chemical, be it inorganic chemical, be it sequestration in concrete or in cement. Apart from that, one most important opportunity which is emerging is that these hydrocarbons can also be converted to carbohydrates. A lot of work is going on where this captured CO2 is getting converted into proteins. Even organizations like NASA are also working on this. They have interest that they would like to create food in Mars where only CO2 is available. So they are trying to do research on converting CO2 into proteins. So for that also some pilot studies have been carried out, and they have found it to be successful initially for creating proteins for fisheries. And once this food becomes available, either through algae production or through creation of synthetic food chain through synthetic proteins, in that case, the opportunities will be enormous. At the moment, what is being done through photosynthesis, that is conversion of CO2 into the atmosphere through photosynthesis into organic mass or organic proteins or organic carbohydrates, that is going to become possible through synthetic route of converting hydrocarbons or CO2 captured into carbohydrates. So these are the possibilities which in the next 20 to 30 years are going to become a reality. And particularly for cement industry, when we know that the cement industry size by 2050 is going to be nearly 5 billion tons of cement. So that means nearly 3.5 to 4 billion tons of CO2 is going to be emerging out of the cement industry alone, out of which nearly 1.5 to 2 billion tons can be stored through sequestration within the concrete and within the cement binders, which can have scope for mineralization. And remaining CO2 can then be utilized for various type of utilization options, which I have just elaborated. So I think within next 30, 40 years, there is a bright potential for converting the entire CO2 generated into useful products by utilizing CO2 as a raw material. So opportunities are enormous, and then we see a lot of changes taking place in the next 2 to 3 decades in the domain of carbon capture and utilization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashwani. And it's just quarter past. I know we have been allowed an extra five minutes, and this is just the beginning of a journey here for the Asia Pacific region with this initiative by ESCAP and together with the partners and the GCCA. And you have seen the presentation from Eric. We really want to work on capacity building, a project demonstration. So really, this roundtable is your first get together, and I really hope that we can create more links and continue this conversation. Just maybe each of you, we have 5 minutes, so that means 1 minute for each of you. And maybe it's a difficult question, but what is your view on this UN ESCAP initiative, and how are you committing to collaborate to it? Who wants to start? What can we do to make this initiative work? So we were presented.
So maybe I can go first.
Yes, go, Chris.
Okay? Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's an honor to talk to share our activities together with the panelists. So I think this initiative is a great opportunity to raise awareness of CCU. Not many people still know about CCU. They still do not believe about CCU. So it's very important to really show what CCU is to people. And by utilizing concrete, it's a product that you utilize in daily life. So I think it's a very easy way to attract people's attention. In terms of Mitsubishi, we have a lot of other projects such as smart city projects in Southeastern Asia. So I think we can leverage these type of projects that are very keen to decarbonize itself. So CCU is one application to decarbonize the city. So in the future, we want to not just decarbonize this one house or a infrastructure, but the total city of these areas. So yeah, so that's all from myself. Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome on board. Schön or weit?
Yes, Claude, I would like to mention here that now that what is most important for CCU, for the cement and other heavy industry, is that collaborations are required among multi-stakeholders as well as government and non-government organizations to bring together all the actors on a single platform so that we implement the philosophy of converting the entire CO2 into useful products. So in this case, ESCAP can create a very important role for creating a decarbonization pathway for the heavy industries in bringing together all these stakeholders together. That is not only government and non-government organizations working on the field, but also the various organizations which are able to provide grant funding or financial assistance, and also at the same time create a role for the carbon trading or carbon markets for these type of CCU activities. So once these stakeholders can be brought on a single platform under the umbrella of ESCAP, then I think most of the problems will be solved through mutual discussions under the same platform. Thank you.
Thank you. So collaboration, partnership. Schön or weit? Last word.
Yeah, I think the vision outlined by Chris, trying to pair a lot of these complementary technologies together, is where we're headed. So having some of the cement producers contributing to that vision just makes it closer to reality. And as mentioned, the idea of being able to take some of these CCU technologies and turn them into carbon credits or carbon offsets, as we've been able to do, really changes the economics of it. So while we're doing something, as mentioned in the chat, provides economic value for the producer and we can function without a carbon credit, when you do introduce, it just makes it a lot easier for all the stakeholders to adopt the technologies and make them have a greater impact.
Thank you. Thank you. Great value. Collaboration weit.
Sure. I think I was listening to Tongbo in Singapore a couple of years ago in the first GCCA, and then what he was saying is this is more of a collaborative effort, and there won't be one single solution that will solve the concrete industries or the cement industry's CO2 problem. So every technology we are developing, it will tackle a portion of it. And when you combine them all, I think we will make a significant improvement on the CO2 efficiencies. So I think building the collaborations, making aware of these technologies, I think that's the key. So I think we need to keep working hard on this and develop more solutions to tackle this challenging problem.
Great. So Tongbo, my friend, last word.
Thank you, Claude. Just follow, what we just mentioned. We know cement sector is a hard to abate sector. There's no simple silver bullet to solve it. Therefore, we need holistic thinkings and solutions, all-round package toolbox. For us to I really appreciate and expect there will be more, roundtable discussion and knowledge sharing, to build up such kind of cross-sector, cross-border, cross-region collaboration. That's very important for cement sector in the future to reach the carbon neutrality. Thank you, Claude.
Thank you all. So I shall see you back in plenary in the other room. Just reading a last message from Mark, who says that all business entities are welcome to join this ESBN initiative. So let's continue this discussion. So I see you in the other session where I will report back, feeding in your ideas. Thank you very much for this event. See you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you to
Okay,
our
bye-bye.
participants as well.